The Captain is a harrowing exploration of morality, identity, and the human capacity for evil during the final weeks of World War II. Inspired by true events, the film tells the story of a young German deserter who assumes the identity of a Nazi officer, leveraging the uniform's authority to commit increasingly brutal acts. The film is set in 1945, as Germany faces imminent defeat, capturing a society in collapse and the moral vacuum created by chaos. Schwenke's adaptation is based on the story of Willi Herold, a real-life figure whose actions serve as a stark reflection of how ordinary individuals can become perpetrators of atrocities under specific circumstances. The film opens in the waning days of World War II. The protagonist, Willi Herold, is a 19-year-old Luftwaffe deserter. With Germany on the brink of surrender, Herold is terrified of capture. While fleeing, he discovers a dead officer and seizes his uniform, instantly assuming the persona of a captain. This moment is pivotal. The uniform grants Herold unchecked authority, transforming him from a scared teenager into a commanding figure capable of exerting life-and-death power over others. Herold quickly gathers a small group of soldiers and misfits, who are drawn to his confidence and apparent rank. Exploiting the chaotic breakdown of military structure, he establishes a camp where he declares himself in charge, instituting strict and often brutal rules. The film portrays his actions escalating from minor intimidation to cold-blooded executions, highlighting the seductive nature of authority and the ease with which fear and obedience can manipulate human behavior. As Herold's power grows, his companions become increasingly complicit in his crimes. The narrative explores the dynamics of group psychology and moral disengagement, illustrating how ordinary individuals, faced with the facade of legitimate authority, can commit horrific acts. The film culminates in Herold's capture and eventual trial, underscoring the tragic consequences of unchecked power and moral cowardice. The central theme of The Captain is the corrupting influence of power. Herold's transformation underscores how an external symbol, his officer's uniform, can redefine personal identity and ethical boundaries. The film critiques the superficial markers of authority, suggesting that evil often requires only recognition and compliance, not formal legitimacy. By situating the story in a collapsing society, Schwenke examines the fragility of moral structures under stress. The soldiers who follow Herold are not inherently cruel, but fear, peer pressure, and the illusion of legitimacy erode their moral compass. This exploration aligns with psychological theories such as the Milgram experiment, highlighting obedience to authority and situational ethics. Herold's youth adds complexity to the narrative. At 19, he is both a victim and perpetrator, terrified of capture yet willing to exploit others' fear. The film asks uncomfortable questions about adolescence, agency, and the rapid maturation forced by war. His age underscores the potential for moral corruption even in seemingly naive individuals when social constraints collapse. The backdrop of Germany's defeat amplifies the film's tension. Schwenke presents a country in moral and administrative disarray, where rules are suspended and violence becomes normalized. The environment functions as a catalyst, demonstrating how structural breakdowns can facilitate the emergence of tyranny on a small scale. The atrocities committed under Herold's command illustrate the psychological mechanisms of dehumanization. Victims are treated as mere obstacles or enemies, making violence psychologically easier to perpetrate. The film interrogates complicity, showing how ordinary people rationalize or ignore moral transgressions when authority figures sanction them. The central figure is a chilling study in opportunism and moral corruption. Initially a terrified deserter, Herold's adoption of the captain persona is both pragmatic and symbolic. His charisma, decisiveness, and cruelty attract followers, demonstrating the allure of authority. His character evolves from a frightened youth to a ruthless commander, embodying the theme of latent human capacity for evil. Herold's companions represent various aspects of human behavior under duress: fear, opportunism, loyalty, and moral compromise. Their gradual complicity highlights how social pressures and the desire for security or advancement can erode ethical standards. Each character's response to Herold's authority illuminates broader questions about obedience and morality. Though less central, the civilians and prisoners provide a moral counterpoint, illustrating the human cost of Herold's actions. Their fear, vulnerability, and suffering accentuate the brutality of unchecked power. Schwenke employs a stark, minimalist visual style, emphasizing realism and psychological intensity. The film uses muted color palettes, grays, browns, and washed-out tones, to evoke the bleakness of wartime Germany. Handheld camera work creates a sense of immediacy, immersing viewers in the chaos and unpredictability of Herold's world. Key visual motifs include the uniform and its transformative power. Close-ups on Herold's face, often contrasted with the reactions of those around him, highlight the tension between external authority and internal morality. Violence is portrayed unflinchingly, often sudden and brutal, reinforcing the shocking realities of war and human cruelty. The sound design complements the film's stark visuals. Silence is used strategically to heighten tension, with sudden noise, gunshots, shouting, punctuating moments of violence. The score is minimal, avoiding melodrama, which allows the brutality of the scenes to speak for itself. This auditory restraint amplifies the film's sense of realism and unease. While dramatized, the captain remains largely faithful to the historical record of Willi Herold and his crimes. The film captures the chaos of Germany's final weeks in World War II, highlighting the social and military breakdowns that allowed individuals like Herold to exploit power vacuums. Schwenke's focus is less on broad military strategy and more on the psychological and social dynamics of authority, complicity, and moral collapse. The Captain received acclaim for its unflinching portrayal of human cruelty and Schwenke's precise direction. Critics praised its moral complexity and the performance of the lead actor, whose chilling depiction of Herold captures both youthful vulnerability and ruthless opportunism. Some reviewers noted the film's stark violence and uncomfortable moral questions as challenging but essential for understanding the human cost of war. The film is often compared to other psychological studies of authority and obedience, such as Downfall or Das Boot, but stands out for its focus on an individual's descent into cruelty rather than collective military experience. Beyond its historical setting, The Captain resonates in contemporary discussions about power, leadership, and morality. It illustrates the dangers of unaccountable authority, the susceptibility of ordinary people to coercion, and the ethical responsibilities of individuals in hierarchical systems. The film encourages reflection on how societal structures and symbols, uniforms, titles, and rituals can be manipulated to justify immoral actions, making its lessons relevant far beyond World War II. The Captain is a harrowing, meticulously crafted exploration of authority, morality, and human behavior under extreme conditions. By focusing on a young man's transformation from frightened deserter to ruthless commander, Schwenke examines how fear, social collapse, and symbols of power can corrupt individuals and groups. The film's unflinching depiction of violence, combined with psychological insight and historical grounding, creates a work that is both disturbing and profoundly thought-provoking. It serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of moral structures and the potential for ordinary humans to commit extraordinary acts of cruelty when given the means and opportunity.